the Honest Audiophile. This is the Meze Liric, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Meze for providing the lyric for review. Do greatly appreciate it. Meze, you rock. All right, so the Meze Liric. This is a closed-back planar headphone. Cost you around $2,000, and it has 30 ohms of impedance, 100 decibels of sensitivity, a frequency response of 4 hertz to 92 kilohertz, and it weighs 390 grams. Links down below for information regarding all the technical stuff that Meze has inside the Lyric. They will explain it a whole lot better on their website, so check out the link down below if you're curious about the driver and all kinds of other things, because they'll explain it a lot better than I can. All right, so the headphone. The Lyric looks like this. Very beautiful, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. You do get some accessories. You get a booklet that has all kinds of information regarding the headphone itself. And you get a big, huge storage box. Plus you get a portable case with some branding on it. On the inside, you do get a carrying bag for cables, 1/4-inch adapter, airplane adapter. Does anybody use those? And then you get a short cable and a long cable. Short cable is about 4 foot. Long cable is about 8 foot long. I find that the cable is, it's all right. Kind of wish that Meze had given a more premium cable. Both cables are rubberized. You do have the bronze splitter and connectors. Going into the headphones are 3.5, and then it terminates into 3.5. Both cables terminate into 3.5. Find that the cables are okay. They're just not anything special for $2,000 headphone. Headphones. Very beautiful to look at. Typical Meze design. You got this really nice leather headband with this fantastic padding on the bottom. Bronze look. A little bit of curved on the forks. Rotates. Spins around. Very well built. Overall, I really do enjoy the look of the Lyric with the air vent. Do wish that it had removable pads, which it does not. I wish they had implemented the Empyrean and Elite's removable pad system. Overall, though, I find it to be extremely comfortable. When it goes on the head, it does a good job of isolating out outside noises. Probably somewhere into 60 to 66% of outside noises are blocked. It does a good job of that. And then when you take the cable and you connect the cables to it, so we've got right and left. Cables are positioned so that they flow forward and off of your shoulders. Do find that when you touch the cable and it wiggles around, you do hear it a little bit in the cups, but it's not excessive and annoying. It's just average at best. Overall, I find that the build of the Lyric is fantastic. And comfort is phenomenal. I have no issues whatsoever with comfort. Did find though that the pads get a little bit hot on the head and on around the ears, just a little bit. So after about an hour and a half of listening, do have to take a little bit of a break just to let the ears settle down a little bit, and then put it back on your head. Had no problems with hot spots up top. The Lyric is very easy to drive. Does play portable, but I found that it worked best on desktops. Portable wise, I used it with dongles coming out of my OnePlus 9 Pro, and I found that dongles were able to drive the Lyric fairly easily, but that you were getting upwards close to max volume levels on some of the dongles, as they're just not as powerful. So moving over to a DAP, I found that the Sony A105 and the WM1A powered it a lot better. And I found that the WM1A with the 4.4 balanced output powered the lyrics just fine, and that was the best portable listening experience that I had. Going to the desktop, I used my Mytek Liberty DAC, and the amplifier in the Mytek Liberty DAC was just fantastic with the Lyric, and it sounded fantastic. Was able to power it with no problems whatsoever. And then also the Mytek going out to the Headamp GSX Mini and also to the Drop 1 Linear. Had no issues there with power whatsoever. Used the SMSL SU9N going out to the GSX Mini and the 1 Linear. Again, had no issues whatsoever. Also used an Aueze Deckard, and that was very easy to power. I did find that the Deckard's slightly warmer sound signature did help with the Lyric a little bit and added a little bit of body. And then using the IFI Zendac V2 signature, going into the IFI Zencan signature MZ99. That was actually my favorite desktop pairing. And I found that had a nice body and filled in some areas of the Lyric that were kind of lackluster, and we'll talk about that. So overall, I do like the Lyric's sound. It's very unique for a closeback, and I found that it has some differences and a different approach than a lot of closebacks have. And soundstage wise of the Lyric is very good. It has a nice width to it, and it does a good job with depth and layering. Imaging is very, very good. Things travel across the stage very well, and it's very precise and accurate. You can really diagnose a stage very well. It does a good job in that regard. I really do enjoy that. The bass of the Lyric is also very good. It has a nice body to it and has a good amount of authority. And I wish that it had a little bit more body and a little bit more authority, but for what it does offer, it's adequate. Never left me feeling like I wanted more. Tonality of the bass is very good, and detail retrieval and resolution is excellent. And I found that it was a very good for toe tapping and keeping things moving and energetic, and I was never bored with the bass on the Lyric. Treble. The treble of the Lyric is also well done for the most part. It does have a few niggles in it. It's a little bit on the peaky side, and at times it'll have moments of hotness and aggression. And at times it can be a little too glary and glassy. And it's just a little too elevated, and it'll come across unnatural at times. But for the most part, it's a very pleasing and well-controlled treble. Mids. The mids of the Lyric are all right, but they're not very natural sounding to me. And they're also not very well balanced. The bottom end of the mids are lean and thin, and at times have this hollow sound to them, and they just lack soul. They just don't have any real emotion in the mids and the bottom end, and they just sound a little thin. Instruments will sound unbalanced as you go across the octaves. The lower octaves will sound a little thin and hollow, and the upper, as you go along through, will fill in a little bit more and sound more natural and accurate. The upper mids are a little elevated, and they can get a little sibilant and bright. And I find that overall the mids are just unbalanced and uncohesive. They just lack, they just don't have it for me. But the Aueze Deckard and the IFI gear kind of changed that. They kind of had a little special sauce for the Lyric. They added a little bit more body and brought in a little bit of soul. And I found that those were my favorite setups for the Lyric. I found that a little bit warmer sound and a little bit more emphasis in the mids helped the Lyric. But on all the other gear, especially my reference gear like the Mytek Liberty, the GSX Mini, the 1 Linear, SMSL SU9N, they just lacked that mids, and they just didn't really have the soul, and they sounded kind of lackluster. How do they compare to other gear? When comparing it to the Mr. Speaker's Ether C, now this is the original Ether C. I found that the Ether C has better detail retrieval and resolution, and that it also has a little bit more refined soundstage. Does a little bit better with imaging. It's a little more accurate and precise, but they are pretty close in that regard. And I also found that the Ether C does a better job in extension. It's a little bit more even and cohesive in the mids as well, but it is a little bit more forward in the vocal presentation. Comparing to the LCD2 closed. Now the LCD2 closed 21s, the closed have more bass presence, they have more body throughout, have better density in the notes, and overall they sound more natural and accurate, and they're more cohesive and balanced throughout the frequencies. And I find that the mids are more natural and true. Soundstage wise, they are fairly even when it comes to width, depth, and layering. Separation is slightly better on the Aueze, and I found that detail retrieval and resolution was about the same. So overall, I find that the Lyric is a competent closeback, and it's a pleasing closeback for the most part, except for the mids. I'm a little, I'm okay with, but I just wish they had that special sauce. But for $2,000, I don't really know that I like them that much for that. I wish I did, because I love the design of them. I love the build of them, the comfort, the look, all of that. But there's just not enough that they do to win me over from my Aueze LCD2 closed. I choose the LCD2 closed over the Lyric. And I prefer the technical abilities of the Ether C to the Lyric. To me, the Lyric is just one of those headphones that does what it's supposed to, mostly, and is competent, mostly, but it just isn't for me. Thank you, Meze, for providing the Lyric for review. Do greatly appreciate it. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And then also, check out the links down below for information regarding gear and music and all kinds of other things of how you can follow the channel, support the channel, contact the channel. All kinds of good things are down below. So check out those links. And then don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.